Good morning, everyone. This is Jack Kerstetter from Central Office CAD Mapping. I'm here with Brandon Williams, Kyle Lentz, Matt Iben. We're going to do a little ProjectWise webinar this morning. We're going to take a look at ProjectWise by the numbers. We're going to go over reference file scanning. We're going to do a little bit about our changes to the plan reviews folder. Upcoming training, and we'll have some question and answer session at the end. So if there's no initial question to start, Brandon, you want to go ahead and start the PowerPoint?
Yep, can you hear me and see my screen?
I can.
All right, sweet.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, good morning, everybody. We're going to make this, it's a pretty quick presentation, and we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end to go over things that you guys might have about this PowerPoint, any questions, or anything in general. You know, we are here to help and answer any other questions outside of this presentation as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. As Jack mentioned, we're going to go over some ProjectWise numbers just to start off. So currently right now, we have a total of 262,000 documents in ProjectWise, which is pretty nice, big size number there. And we actually hit a terabyte of data. So we have 1,074 gigabytes of total document file size inside ProjectWise currently. We almost have 500,000 folders, and 3,700 work areas are currently in ProjectWise. And 51,000 of those folders are populated with documents. So, you know, there are a lot of empty folders out there, which is to be seen. You know, we do have a folder structure that is, you know, pretty nifty. And you might be creating projects ahead of time, so that's why that number might be so too low. And the number of documents with references are 17,600. So there's quite a bit of documents that have references attached to them as well. Okay. Currently, we have over 1,300 users and 48 consultant user lists in there. So that might mean that there's 48 consultants working inside our ProjectWise as well. Currently, ranking, these are the number of logins. That it's not really ranking, but actually, this is December 31st. We got a report. Looks like Ryan's at the top there for the most logged in, so he's been working hard, chugging along. So this is also a good list. If you guys have any questions, it's more likely these people might be a good reference for you as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the reference resolver itself. And I got a few videos that or just a couple videos that we're going to go ahead and show here. But first I want to go over just a quick checklist, and you can see in the top here in the red, we do not advise running the scan reference resolver. ProjectWise calls it scan references and link sets, so that's what we'll refer it to. But do not run it on a version that is lower than 3.453. There were some issues on some of the older versions of ProjectWise when running the scan reference resolver. So if you do not have this version, everyone should have this version on their machine, the 3.453. If not, let us know. We want to get you updated, and we want to add you to that list. So when we send out the next batch of updates, you're on that list to get updated. Okay. So for reference resolver, you do need write access to the document because behind the scene, it's copying, checking out whatever it might be, copying it out, adding the attachments, and then adding it back into ProjectWise. You do want to make sure all files are present. I mean, it still will run, but you still might have missed references if all your files aren't present. And most importantly, you want to choose the location you want to scan. So this is what we're going to show here. I also want to note that the scanning for references, it does attach the first document it finds. Okay, so this is in a hierarchy level. So if you have a file in 999 Scratch with the same name as something under 400 engineering, such as a BK file, it will attach that 999 Scratch one first because it's the first one it finds. So that is one of the issues if you were to choose to scan that the entire PID. which I'll show here in a minute how to avoid getting files that you don't want. Okay. So to run the reference resolver on just a document, you can right click the document here, and at the bottom for set, you'll have the scan references and link sets option. So you'll just go ahead and click that, and that's going to give you a dialog to start scanning for references. Okay. So we'll go ahead and show a demo for the document scan. And I'm just going to talk through this as it goes. So here I have a BK003 file. If you click the dependency viewer, you can see the references that are attached. And it does do nesting, so you can see that nesting there. So here's the service request. So I just had a file restored for BK003, and I want to do an advanced replace. Okay, so I just got this restored to a previous version, and I want to replace the one in ProjectWise. Okay. So I'll do a replace, and you saw that dialog. It's saying that this gets rid of references. I'm not worried about that. And I'm going to that SR, so that's my service request number, and I'm attaching that file. Okay. So now I just replace the file in my project with the one that was restored. And if you click on it, we can see in our dependency viewer, we don't have our references anymore. Okay. So we can manually attach it, or we can scan for it. So if I right click, set, scan for references, I get the dialog. These are the objects. You can go ahead and hit next, and note that it's scanning this file. So you can see the name BK003 file in there. Okay. There's no subfolders in here, so we're not going to check on that. Application type, you can leave, you don't have to check this on, but I know I'm only looking for MicroStation files, so I select the MicroStation. If you don't select MicroStation, it does everything. So if you had TIFFs and stuff like that, it'll scan for those. So now I'm just going to head and navigate to my project. So if I click on 400 engineering, this is the folders. These right here are the folders I want to scan for references. Proximity search, we're not going to talk about. We're going to skip that since we're doing a priority search. That's what we're going to be looking at. Okay. There is a log file. I do recommend making a log file just in case something goes wrong, or if you just want to check the progress and what it did. You can make that a log file, and you can also check on detailed if you want a more detailed approach to that. Okay, so I can click on view log, and this will just open up a notepad here. This you can see what was done through this file. So it went through, it added 2 references to that one document. Okay, so now if I go to dependency viewer, I can see my references are attached, plus the nesting DGN from that BK002. Okay, so I know that was quick. We are going to make training videos on this and post this on our wiki page. That's going to go in a little more depth, and it's going to slow it down a little bit. But I didn't want to take too much of your time today. And if you guys had any questions, we'll make sure that video is out there, and you can always contact me for that. Okay. So that was an example of how to scan for just one file. So I did a file restore on that BK003 file. Let's say I did a restore an entire folder. The scan reference resolver can also be used for that as well. So let's say I had this base maps, let's say all these files I just got restored. If you right click the file, you'll have the scan reference and link sets options there. So it's the same route, same dialog. Notice it has star.star, so it's doing every file in that folder that I selected. And here I'm going to go ahead and check that top one on. Now it doesn't have any subfolders. I usually just check it on anyways, just to make sure I don't miss anything. I am again selecting the application type. You don't have to do this. I select MicroStation because I only want to look for DGN files. So here's the priority search. Again, this is just me picking the folders I want to search for the references. Okay. I know all 4 of these files. I know where the references are. It could be under 300 survey, so I add 300 survey in there. And it could be under 400 engineering. I can even get more specific and click on roadway, because I know all the files that are attached in these DGNs are in roadway, or I can click for engineering. It doesn't matter since we have a unique naming convention. But remember, it does find the first one and attaches it. So I just did the roadway folder here. We're going to skip the proximity search. We're not going to do that. And we can go ahead and create our log file. And you can see that check mark box down there for the detailed version if you wanted to get a detailed version of the logs. Okay, so you can see that it was checking it out and then adding the attachments and references. And then you'll also get your view log option here at the top if you wanted to look at that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close out of that. And then of course you can see your references. Now these ones obviously weren't blank. And you can tell by the icon. I don't know if you guys saw that. There's a white icon on the bottom right. That means that there's references attached to that document. Okay, so if you don't see that white icon on the bottom right up here, that means that there's no references on that document. So you can go ahead and manually attach those if you want, or you can just do the scanned reference tool. So the only case scenario I see you using the reference resolver was the first option, which you did a file restore, or if some reason you wanted to copy in some documents from an iDrive to have and make a connected if you wanted to do things in ORD. So let's say you're doing stuff in SS10 and you want to work it on an ORD, you can copy those files and do a reference resolver, and that will attach the references for you. Outside of that, maybe we'll have some questions here at the end, or my team can kick in here and think of some references, other possibility scenarios. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, Jack.
Just to add, so we ran into some issues with scanning for references on the entire project, which is why we're redoing the videos. Our original videos showed just selecting a PID and scanning the entire thing to fix any references. So we've been restoring files and then putting in 999 scratch for someone to take a look at before they replace their file, just to make sure that's the right one. And the reference scan, if you do the entire project, will pick up that scratch folder version before maybe the one you want. So we're redoing the video to remind people to be a little cautious about that. And as we're looking at it, we're also running into other locations in projects where people have copied files with the same name. And if you scan an entire project, because of the way it does the hierarchy, you might not pick up the one you're looking for. So we're just trying to put together a video that's a little bit more specific about what you ought to be looking for when you scan. So you need to carefully select the folders where you expect to find the references you want to attach. If you do the entire thing, you may end up with attaching the wrong version of a file, or a file with the same name from a different location. So we're going to address it another webinar, probably an ORD one, about file naming convention, to try to eliminate this issue of duplicate file names in the same project. But that's why we're redoing this at this time.
Thank you, Jack. So we'll go ahead and some updates that we've been making in ProjectWise. So one big update that we just completed was a plan vault update. We did get plan sets, construction plan sets from Central Office 2020 to 2021 has been imported into the plan vault. So you should see those in there now. I think the idea is for us to do the Central Office stuff every 6 months. If you guys need a need sooner, we can always do that sooner. If 6 months is too soon, we can always do it yearly. But currently, we haven't really any standard put into updating or adding the new construction plan sets. But we did go ahead and import those last 2 years there. District 8, we are importing their stuff very soon. We're getting the data ready to import now into ProjectWise, and that will be available into the Plan Vault. This is their legacy data, so things going back to 1910 or whatever it might be. We already have things from Central Office from them, but from which I think was from 98 or 04 to current day now. So we will be getting District 8 imported here soon. Next up is District 4. We're also working on them, and we should be done with these pretty soon. So if you want to be the next district to get your legacy construction plans imported into the plan vault, then we can do that next. Okay. Another change that we did is some folder name changes. We also added a folder. This was actually a district request for the 950 reviews folder. So we have changed the template already. So currently this is what the template is. So when you make a new project and you copy in the plan reviews, this is the folder structure you're going to get. We did prefix it with 01, 02, 03 to get it in a nice order. Same for the right-of-way stuff and the tracings. Another thing that we've changed were permissions. So consultants is the only permission changes that we've made. ODOT has the same permissions, so you guys have the same permissions. They're the same. You don't need to worry about anything. You have full control under 950 reviews. Yeah, you don't need to use the plain reviews folder. You can make your own. If you do, you can add whatever you want underneath it. The only permissions that we've changed were the consultants, which we gave them read-only access to the comments. Okay. And consultants have read, right to submissions, disposition of comments, and scratch prints. So they will have the read write access there, but only read only to the comments. Okay. So older projects with the old template, they still only have read only access to the comments. So if they had write access there before. If they need to do any modifications, you might need to change it to another folder for them to have write access. It's not a big deal. If you have problems with this, just let me know and I can help you out. Also submissions, they should have read and write access in old templates as well. We did this in the reduced as well, so you can see this is the reduced folder structure. So we just have stage 3 tracings and scratch prints. Anything I'm missing there, Jack, that you wanted to add?
I just add that in the reduced plan reviews, the permissions are also set there, so the consultants have read write access to submissions and read only to comments. And the permissions are workflows attached to the folder structure. So when you copy and paste this into your project, then you get the permissions. But if you create your own folder structure, then it's going to be read only for a consultant. So if you need to make a custom one, we'll have to take a look at how to set that up if we need consultants to add things into a custom structure. But if you just copy and paste, and if you already have an existing one that consultants need access to, you can just copy this one in, and maybe if you have a few files already in there, you can just move them into the appropriate folders. We also had a question about what about pre-stage 1 review. So we don't have anything in here for that. That wasn't something that was requested. So once you've created this structure, though, you can add additional folders to it. So you could add a pre-stage 1 folder in here and put subfolders in it. However, it wouldn't inherit a workflow with permissions for consultants to put something in there. So we can take a look at that. If that's something that's fairly common, we can address that. If we need a pre-stage 1, we could do that. We had another question about the scratch prints folder be deleted like the 999 folder.
No, yeah, it
No,
doesn't.
we haven't done that. We haven't discussed doing that. So I think that would stay.
Yep. So we don't delete anything other than the 99 scratch folder from a project.
And I think we changed that, right? So we're going to delete that when the project gets archived and closed, not when it gets. So the 999 scratch won't go away until the time that the project's closed out, not when it gets sold. So we're going to make that change if we have not already. There was another question about adding another stage 2 for compliance from Tom Powell. So as I mentioned, you can create additional folders in here, but it's not going to inherit these particular permissions If you made another stage 2, it would just be the default read only for consultants. So we'd have to fix it if we want them to do that.
Yeah, what I would do for that, Tom, is right click on plan reviews, create your new folder. You can name it O2A stage 2, whatever you might want. It's your project, whatever you want to name it. And when you make that that second stage 2, just copy these folders into that, and they will have the workflow. So when you copy these folders in there, the consultants are going to have read access to the O2A stage 2. They'll have read write to submission. They'll have read only to comments and read write to disposition comments. So they'll have the same permissions, and you added that new stage into there.
There you go. So any other questions about that?
Yeah, there you go, Tom. Yep. So if you just copy one of the folders, it's going to copy the workflow. So that's how we're actually managing the permissions. So even if there's a folder that you want to create and give read and write access to, you can just copy one of the submissions or disposition of comments folder and rename it, and then they're going to have read write to it.
So we got Kenny Knapp had a question.
Yeah, guys, I guess the only question I have is, and Jamie Lowry sitting here with me is the same way. Every time that we've been in the plan reviews folder, it's just been a blank folder and we've had to build all this. Is this a brand spanking new thing, or is that something that we can, is it an option? How do you get these built, I guess?
Yeah, you copy them from a templates folder. You want to show that, Brandon, maybe?
Yeah, I think we're almost done with the PowerPoint here.
Yeah,
So when we get to the questions, I'll do a live demo of that, Ken.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, I just want to make sure it was somewhere and I wasn't missing something, because yeah, like I say, I've been building all these manually every time, so.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, don't do that. Yeah, good
right.
question. I'll show you the easy route. So let me. I think I got like 2 slides left. Let me finish that up, and I'll go ahead and demo that real quick, and then we'll open this up for some other questions. All right. I might even have 1 slide left. Let's see. No, I got 2. Okay, so another update real quick before I'm sure you guys might want to see that as well, but I'll show that here near the end. But another quick update for ProjectWise is for our 600 contracts. We are adding a 00 supplemental documents folder we're going to be adding that to all the projects here soon. We also renamed folders. This one's already taken place. You might have noticed, you might have not. But we've renamed the O2 pre-addendum to O2 pre-addenda, make this plural. And then same for O3 addendum to O3 addenda. So we just renamed those folders. Nothing big, nothing else has really changed. And the new submission process was sent out for review. I believe JD sent that out, and there's a deadline of February 7th. So if you want to check that out, he sent an email. I don't know if he's on this call. I don't remember exactly who was on the mailing list there, but it is out there. I can get that mailing list for you if you guys haven't reviewed the submission process. I just wanted to remind you guys because that is coming up soon. February 7th is right around the corner. So
yeah, I didn't see him on the call, but there was a PDF and outlining the procedure and then some videos that go over the procedure. So if you get a chance, take a look at that, and we'd appreciate some feedback before we roll this out. So Tom says it was sent to the design engineers. So
I'm on the call, Jack. Yeah, I sent it to the design engineers and the CPAs.
okay. So if you're on that mailing list, you probably already gotten it. If not, you can reach out to one of those people in your district, and they can forward it on to you. And I also wanted to go ahead and mention some CAD training that we're having coming up here in February. If you have any new hires that needs some CAD training, we do have on the second, starting the first, we have the introduction to MicroStation basics. I don't know how many people are signed up for this. I don't think there's too much there. and I do think we have a minimum. So if you find anyone that might need to go to the introduction to MicroStation Basics, we're having that here around the corner as well, February 1st to the 2nd from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a OHDOT CAD workspace training on February 9th. So you can sign up for that, and Open Roads Designer training for designers on the 15th through the 17th. And this is all being held virtually through Teams. And I believe to sign up, it's in ODOT Learn. So you can just go to ODOT Learn and sign up for these trainings if you have anyone that you yourself or anyone in your district that might be interested in these trainings. Anything you want to add to that, Kyle?
That pretty much
Or
covers
Matt?
it. I just wanted to say that the same group of training is also being held, I think, in June. So if you have new hires, maybe starting after February, those are also, they'll be available again as well.
Okay, sweet. So that's all I had. I will go ahead and stop the PowerPoint here to answer Kenneth. You had the question about, plan reviews is empty. I'm in our training testing data source, so let me see if I can find a project here real quick that doesn't have 950 reviews. All right, so here's a project. So here I have my 950 reviews folder that's blank, nothing in it. So if I scroll down to our O3 standards under ProjectWise templates, so we have ProjectWise templates, and we can copy and paste this in the chat for you to have. There's a plan reviews full and a plan reviews reduced. The updating we're about to delete. But if I click on this plan reviews full, that's going to be the full structure. So here you have the plan reviews folder with the full structure. If I click on reduced, here's the plan reviews folder reduced. So depending on what you want, you just copy the folder. So here's the plan reviews. So you can do a right click copy if you want. You can also do right click drag, but personally I like the right click copy and just the right click paste. Okay. And then if I hit OK, it's going to go ahead and copy all those folders with the correct permissions into your 950 reviews folder. So no
Yeah,
more creating them manually.
It looks like the training and testing data source doesn't have the new stuff in it.
Yeah, so I'm in the
So,
training and
yeah, if
testing.
you look at it in the actual, in the project data source, it'll have the folders that we showed on the slide.
Brandon,
But
how wide open is that as far as permissions for making new folders and such then? So like if we had like a compliance stage 3 review, can I just copy the stage 3 and it have all the same permissions?
Yep.
Or okay, good deal. Appreciate
that would
it.
work. You have full control under that 950 reviews as an ODOT user. Consultants, of course, we just changed their permissions for read only to the comments folder. But yeah, you have full control. You can make whatever folders you want. If you want to copy the same permissions, you can just, copy from here or from your project. It's going to be the same. If you do copy it from your project, of course, there might be documents you might need to delete out of it. I also think when you do a copy, I think you can choose not to take the, yeah, just uncheck the documents and it'll only copy the folders. Okay. So you can do that as well.
How do you get around in that case? Cause you'll have that O3 stage 3 folder in there already. If you have a compliance, or if you go to copy that, it'll freak out and say, hey, there's already a folder named this. Do you think just change the first stage 3 folder for a hot second and then change it back, or what would be the easier way to make that copy?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it that way if you wanted to rename this. We did put an enhancement request, so just to show everyone what he's talking about. We did put a enhancement request to like replace or rename. So hopefully that comes out in the new ProjectWise update, whenever that is. But you can see that I got an error that said folder name is not unique. So there's a couple ways you can do this. If you want, you could just copy and paste just the folders into Scratch, and then you can kind of rename it the way you want there. So, you know, if I want to rename this, you know, 3A, okay, and then I didn't save that. So if I right click, rename 3A, okay, and then I can just cut and paste it. So cut now, and then I can paste it in my reviews. That's kind of how I would do it, or you can just rename the stage 3, but now you have everything nice and tidy in there. Good question.
Good deal. Thanks, guys.
All right, so any other questions regarding the PowerPoint or in ProjectWise in general? We kind of like to open it up here at the end to answer any questions. We also like to hear potential ProjectWise webinar topics. We used to do this every month. We haven't really been getting any requests on any of it, so we just made the reference resolver for today. So if you guys have something that you would like for us to go ahead and do as a webinar, let us know. And yeah, if you guys have any questions. All right, Mark
Brandon?
did, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mark did mention, and I forgot to mention this, I meant to, the 2020 to 2021 plans from central office has been updated, but it has not been pushed out to all the districts or the web map yet. So those aren't quite there on the web map yet. So that's mostly internal. So yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Mark. Did you have something, Matt?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted a slight clarification on the version number you mentioned earlier, just so that nobody panics if they had run the ref scan or
Yeah.
on a previous version. The issues that we had or what we saw were that related to the Open Roads Designer profile models, because that's what's called a non-index model, and when you would scan those, it wasn't able to find the profile models. If you just had any other references or base maps, it should have worked just fine. It was when you ran into those profile models. So I didn't want anyone to panic if they ran that 6 months ago thinking, oh, I wonder if my files are correct or not.
Yep, thanks.
So if there's not any other questions at the moment, we'll hang out here for another 10, 15 minutes or so. If anybody has anything, otherwise, thanks very much for your time. Have a good day.